So yeah, I wasn't intending on talking about this now, but I've been really surprised at how many people are looking for what I was looking for, which was a bunch of women our age talking about real stuff that happens, and not like the Guys I Fucked podcast is really popular, but I don't really care about that. I'm 47. I don't want to talk about the guys I fucked. It's been so long since I fucked somebody other than Burt that I don't want to talk about that. Yeah. So thank you guys for doing this 3 episodes in a row.
Of course.
By the time it airs, we'll have done 3 in a row. So
woohoo.
I know, very exciting. So I finished the 21-day fix.
All right.
Yesterday was my 21st day. I cheated.
So funny because
what?
Not that I'm stalking, but Burt did post a video on Instagram last night, and I was like, she's eating chips and dip.
Yes.
I was like, but it could, all fairness, it could have been a carrot. Like, I couldn't really see what you were
I was eating the carrots. I had the carrots.
Lynn was doing good last night. However, I
did terrible last night, but it was also the night before I started.
Well, you should,
I was like, I'm going to have lots of dip. But
So you started yesterday.
No, today.
Today's
this morning.
Jeannie's day 1 is today.
And I feel like I already screwed up. I mean, I didn't screw up like eating wise, but it was kind of a crazy morning. It was like the kids going back to school. I had a conference call, had to bring the dog to the vet. Got my workout done though, because I knew, like, as I said, if I don't get that done. So did it really early, but then I had no time to eat or make anything. And so I had my shake.
Good.
But that's all I've had is my shake and water. But my shake was supposed to be my snack. And so I was telling my husband, I was like, I feel like I already fucked up. He's like, no, you have to be flexible. Just reverse it.
Yeah. Right.
Just
that's
now go into whatever the next thing was. And I don't feel hungry. Like, I feel fine. I'm drinking lots of water. And that first video, the one that destroyed me before.
The surrenders,
I feel like last time I was already like at this point, like, holy shit, I'm going to be so sore.
Yeah.
And I already feel a little better from having my little preview of that.
Right. That's good.
And I also just knew, like, I think the first time I was naive, and so I knew this time to modify, just to, like, I did it for like the first 30 seconds, and then when she went back to do it again, I was like, yeah, we're going to do it without the weight this time, and just was smarter about doing it. Because
really this journey is a marathon. It's not a sprint. The 21 days is a sprint, but really the objective, or at least for me, is to change your lifestyle. Right. And to make this kind of way of thinking about health and fitness your way of thinking, to replace what was there before. 21 days is how you create a new habit, right? So my thought process was, I'm going to get through 21 days and I'm just going to start over. I mean, I can work out for 30 minutes a day. Totally. I can eat like this. I've been eating like this for 21 days with very little problem.
And I feel like it's just about portion control. Those containers is just really about controlling those portions and knowing what the appropriate portion is.
That's right. And not, the hardest thing about traveling, I just traveled with Burt, was like...
I can't even imagine being in Boston. You were drinking water at the bar, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
I could tell.
I was drinking water. The only problem was in the green room. They didn't have anything in the green room I could eat, and I was starving. Yeah. And so at that point, I was like, oh, well, I got to eat a bag of kettle chips. And actually... kettle chips is on her list as like a carb if you have to, like if you're stuck and you need something emergency, that's like 1 yellow container. But I'd already had my yellow containers for the day. Aww. So I was like, okay, well, I've got 1 extra carb, but I'm starving. Like I'm dying. I've got to
But just think of all those extra calories you burned by being freezing.
Tell me about it. It was 12. It was 12. That's inhumane. Who lives in a place where it's 12 degrees?
I know.
People who are crazy. Although I loved Boston and I really liked all the people I met there. They were really very genuine, very real, like what you see is what you get people. I actually liked it much better than New York. I lived in New York for 4 years and I thought, now these are the people I could hang around with. And then of course Sandy, who's Chinese, told me that it's a massively racist city in her opinion, but she's also Chinese. I'm white, so I didn't experience that at all. She said it's far more racist than New York.
Just to the people who you were with that night, people who tend to like comedy and go to comedy shows are a more fun person.
That's true. And they're hardcore fans. It's very intense to be with Burt now. I mean, like, people are, obviously shirtless, and people are like just walking up and grabbing his nipples. And I'm like, whoa,
those are mine. Those are mine.
Those are mine, but those are his. You should keep your, ask or something first. I mean, who walks up to someone and just goes, then a lot of women want to rub his belly like a Buddha. Weird. And I'm like, that's just... he's still a person. You know what I mean? Like, would you like someone to just walk up to you and rub your belly?
I hated it when I was pregnant.
Yeah,
and
right?
people just walk up to you and touch your belly, and you're like, get your hands off my baby.
Yeah.
I felt that was
weird.
so weird.
It is really weird. Yeah. It gives them like some kind of license that they shouldn't actually have. But, no one was rude or aggressive or nasty about it. But from the outside looking in, I went, wow, I didn't know that that happened for him at meet and greets. Literally, like 3 or 4 people just walked up and pinched his nipples.
Oh, that's crazy.
And I was like, that would make me so uncomfortable if I were Burt. And Burt has told me it is really odd sometimes. Of course, he's looking in the window of the man cave. Hi, babe. He can't stand it. He can't stand it. Hi, babe. Did you go to a sauna? Yeah.
Were you doing a video or where were you?
No.
You're not on mic. We can't hear you, Burt.
I know this works.
He's done it before.
I just went to Burbank infrared sauna. I'm buying an infrared sauna. It's fucking amazing. 155 degrees, 30 minutes. And halfway through, I was like, oh my God, I feel normal right now. I feel like totally normal. And then the last 5 minutes were really tough. And then I just sweat the whole car ride home.
So where are we putting this? In the chicken coop?
No.
We have no room for an infrared sauna.
We're cleaning out the garage and we're putting an infrared sauna in the garage. I'm starting right now.
How big is it?
Not very big. It's very small. I mean, it could arguably be claustrophobic. But
it's like a closet, like you walk.
It's smaller than a closet. You could literally put one in our closet. They have 7 of them in like cubicles where you get a massage. So you could easily fit like probably 7 of them in this room.
Wow.
They're small, but
and you just sweat out all your nastiness.
Oh my God, I was pouring fucking sweat.
Don't drip it on me.
Right? You're awfully close.
Nasty.
Woo!
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're naked. They're like, yeah, they want you to get naked. So I was naked, and you can see your reflection in the window, and it was so sad. Part of me is like,
you voluntarily want to buy one of these?
It's inspiration. I was looking at my body, and I was like, oh my God, I look like a fucking mob boss or a fucking industry exec in one of those movies where like you're like, ugh. And I was like, no one would walk in and be like, yeah, I need a piece of that.
Was there a towel wrapped around at belly button level?
No, I was totally naked.
Totally naked.
Do they put something on the seat that then changes out for the next person?
Yeah. Towels out.
Things I think about.
Towels out.
Let's hope. That would be awful. Could you imagine sitting on someone else's ass sweat?
I hadn't thought about that until right now. But definitely was. I had a lot of ass
That's why he's
sweat.
buying his own, so it's his own ass sweat.
At one point, my balls were hanging over the chair like this, and my balls in junk. And at one point, I was like, I'm really uncomfortable. I didn't realize my balls were right up against a heater.
It's a good thing you're done having kids.
And do I have burns on my back? So I was also resting my back on a heater.
No. Maybe 2nd degree.
But it was hot. It was really fucking great. I want one so bad.
Wow.
You talked about this before.
How much are they?
$1,000. Yeah, $1,000.
That's not so bad.
Yeah.
I thought it would be like more like 3 or 4.
No,
Right.
$1,000, real small. You can throw one in the garage.
Just toss it in there. With
I wish Lynn and
everything else
fucking
we
Eric would use their goddamn garage. You have so much fucking space in your garage.
We do use it.
I know. I want to put a treadmill in there and an infrared sauna. I have a lot of things I want to do with your garage.
I mean, you can go do it. That's fine.
Yeah.
Give a key to your house.
Right.
And
So do they recommend that
different
you
key.
work out and then do
I'm
it?
not stupid.
right.
I just did this. They say it's good for detoxification, but infrared gets into the muscles. It gets your whole body. You don't get as hot as fast. So like, I got hot at I was in for 35 minutes. When it got to like 27 minutes, I was like, I still haven't started sweating really. And I was like, but I had 27 minutes left. So like 5 minutes in, I hadn't really started sweating. 7 minutes in, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to sweat. And then at 15 minutes, I was fucking pouring. And for the last 15 minutes, it was dripping off me. So it gets to like the base of you.
I'm just making sure you're not dripping off on me.
Here, I'll let you guys alone. I just wanted to I wanted to come onto your podcast and share my experience.
You just can't let me have it, can you? We have to only record when he's out of town. That's the only way. Bye, babe.
Fucking podcast gold.
I know you are. I know. Totally. Dork.
All right, so wait, I want to hear what your results were.
Oh, okay. I lost 10 pounds total.
Wow.
In 21 days.
That's
I thought
really
that was
good.
pretty good. I
Yeah.
lost 10 pounds. And I lost, I was disappointed in my inches overall, but I lost like 1.5 inches in my waist, which
That's
is pretty
amazing.
big.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I lost 3 inches in my chest.
Oh my God, I will be so happy if that happens. to me.
Right? I was really happy. I was like, wow, suddenly I look less like a linebacker. Because you don't realize that your boobs make everything below your boobs look huge.
Yes.
Because everything hangs off your boobs.
Yep.
So like if you have these big old boobs, and mine are not the most enormous, but they're like almost a D on my little bitty frame.
Yeah.
And so now they've kind of shrunk down a little bit. It's a lot actually. So that's better. But I lost no inches in my arms at all. Not even like a quarter, nothing. I lost nothing in my arms, which is the curse of my family. My mother was like the body of Cher, the arms of like the fridge. I mean, she always had these massive big arms, and I have her big arms, so I don't think they're really going anywhere anytime soon. I lost 1 inch in both thighs,
That's great.
and I lost 1 inch in my hips.
Wow.
So pretty good.
So
Yeah.
when you had said the night before you started that when you looked in the mirror and you did that picture, it really bummed you out.
Yeah.
Have you done it again?
I didn't take the picture. I didn't think about that.
But
I
did
should
you
take
like
the picture.
I mean, maybe you look in it and see like if you're not so sad anymore.
I do see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely tell without clothes that I look a lot better. Like I looked more like those. I felt like I looked like those mother statues with like the round belly and the large boob. That's what I felt like I looked like before. And now I go, oh, my rib cage is actually really leaned out. I still have the belly and a little bit around my back. Like I have that spare tire thing, so I still have that area, but my legs look so much skinnier and my clothes feel so much better. And even though when I look at myself in the mirror with clothes on, it doesn't look like I've lost 10 pounds. 10 pounds is a lot, but I don't look like I've lost 10 pounds. So I look like I've lost like maybe 5. So
Don't
I think
they say like 10 to 15 pounds is a whole size? So like if you were a size.
no, I did not go down a size in clothes. So I did not, for sure, go down a size in clothes. So, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm still going. Today, I cheated yesterday. That was my plan. My plan going forward is I'm not going to do another straight 21 days. I'm going to cheat on Sundays. Sunday, I'm just not going to worry about it. And like this Sunday, I had yogurt and berries for breakfast. I didn't have a Shakeology. And then for lunch, I had a chicken breast and a Cobb salad, but it was really healthy. I had no dressing on it. And I actually didn't want it. And then for Super Bowl Sunday, I just ate whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to do that. My kids really love pancakes and waffles and bacon, and I only make that on the weekends. So I was like, you know what? I'll make it on Sunday.
Yeah.
I'll eat that big, disgusting, delicious, amazing breakfast. And then I'll be right back on this plan the other 6 days of the week and just give myself an out. So
Right.
like I know, okay, so if we're going to a party on Saturday night, Saturday is my cheat day. And Sunday I'll be straight. So I've been really surprised at how easy this has been. I really did not think it would be this easy. I really thought I would struggle a lot more with the food and the shake and the eating like 5 times a day and the water, and I really didn't. So maybe, I don't know if it, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was just really ready or if it really is just that easy.
It sounded like you were really ready that morning.
Yeah, I was ready.
Yeah.
And then once you start like losing 1 pound, you're like, oh, okay, great. It's only one, but
You get
you're
on a
like,
roll.
You get on a roll, and
Yeah.
you get like I know I was talking to you late last week, and I was like, Friday was not a great day, but I was like really pissed because I was like, I wanted to go to my class and I didn't get to go to my class.
Yeah.
And I felt really bad, and that kind of, set me up. And I was like, wow, I really want to do this.
Yeah.
I really want to go to class that kicks my ass every single time,
Right.
but I wanted to go.
So now you started, right?
Yeah.
When did you start?
That Monday after the first podcast. So I'm a week behind you.
Okay, so you're at day like 14.
Yeah.
15, somewhere in there.
Something like that, yeah.
14, 15. What do you think about it?
Well, so I don't do the strict method.
Right.
Um,
You do the Lynn Grooves
I
and
d- I
21
do-
day.
I can put my own twist on it.
The 21 day adjustment.
So I do the legs and arms of the 21 day fix,
Uh-huh.
but I do the cardio going to my orange fitness class, my orange theory class that I really like. And then I kind of mess with the rest. I don't enjoy Pilates.
No?
I don't.
So good for you, though.
I hate it.
Yeah.
And I kind of just want results right now. So I'm like, if I can squeeze in another Orange Theory fitness class, I'm going to do that.
Oh, got it.
And so I kind of, so I do the 21 day fix, arms and legs, but the other stuff I don't really do. I just kind of do
yoga either.
No, I hate yoga too. I'm not that peaceful or zen. I don't know if you know that about me. I mean,
maybe get you too deep into your hidden deep emotion.
Maybe I should. I could probably benefit from it, and I do like a mixture of like the Tracy Anderson stuff that I used to do from before, and so I kind of like go back and forth and that. The eating has been pretty okay. Like I'm forcing myself to eat breakfast because I'm not a breakfast person, but I'll have like half a thing of Greek yogurt with some berries and like a little bit of honey in it. And then I do I don't do Shakeology, but I do a different protein shake for mid-afternoon snack and a salad for like dinner and lunch, and like throw in protein or whatever else, or like we had filet on Friday. And I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to have the filet. I'm not going to even bother with the salad, which isn't bad, but I was really like focusing on the salad and stuff. And then, so I'm just making better choices.
Right.
But I still am having a hard time. I can't eat all that food.
It's still a lot for you?
It's still a lot.
Isn't that funny?
It's still a lot. Like I'm like, okay, I'm going to snack. I'm going to have an apple. So, and I found like as the weeks have gone by, I do less and less of the like on my phone, like marking off my containers, but I'm still getting results.
Right.
And I just am conscious of like what I am eating.
Right.
And so
maybe that was the point for you.
And I think when I started having to tick everything off, instead of like feeling good about it, I was feeling guilty about it. Cause I was like, but I didn't eat enough of my vegetables, or I didn't eat enough of this, or, so I started like, and then I would just feel bad about myself. So now that I'm just kind of doing my own thing in terms of that, I feel better.
Okay.
Like, I feel lighter. Like I lost 5 pounds.
That's awesome, right?
That's awesome.
I haven't taken my measurements because I'm not going to do that until the end. But I feel lighter. Like I feel, and I know like it's not the number. I just feel a little bit like I'm healthier. Like I can breathe better. Not that I ever had a hard time breathing, but I just feel lighter. I don't know how else to explain it. And I just feel like, okay.
You feel better.
I feel better. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's the point, right?
Yeah. That's what I figured. I'm like, it's not so much about the number, even though the number really would be nice.
Yeah.
Go down, but I feel better.
Well, that's the point. I mean, it isn't about the number, because I mean, I've lost 10 pounds, but I haven't lost a whole size.
Yeah.
So that's just a number 2.
Yeah.
The other way, you could say 10 pounds equals 1 whole size. Then I can't. That would mess me up.
Right.
Like I'd be like, I haven't, but I did it. I should be a size whatever.
Right.
And I'm definitely not a size smaller. Like in the place where I needed to get to a size smaller didn't shrink enough. Like my hips. Like my waist shrunk, but my hips didn't shrink enough relative, so that my hips need to shrink a little more so that I could go down a size. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Anyway, so do you like it day 1? What do you think?
So far, yeah. I mean, all I've done is my workout and try to shake.
No, I know, right?
But the workout, I feel like, is the hard part.
Yeah.
It is.
Yes. And I know I have to get it done in the morning. Otherwise,
this won't happen. Same here. I literally walk in the door from dropping kids off at school. I don't do anything. I just go straight and turn on my phone and work out. And then my day starts. That's the way I have but it's 30 minutes makes it really easy.
It does make it easy. Yeah, and then after, I also always do long walks with both dogs at some point during the day. So I get that too. But
me too. Okay. So I want to talk about something that is fascinating to me. I hope it's not boring for you guys or for the people listening, but you are both Christian-raised women married to Jewish men.
Uh-huh.
What is that like? How did that
I was
shift?
raised Catholic. What were you raised?
Lutheran,
yeah. And I
what
went to
is
Catholic
Lutheran?
School.
Oh,
Lutheran's
Luther.
the same thing as Catholic, but they don't believe in the Pope, and they can have female priests, and they're allowed to marry.
Yeah.
Which seems a lot more
They're
normal.
allowed to be gay too, but
yeah, they can be gay too. So there's you go. It seems healthier.
Okay, that does seem a lot more like of today.
It's not as intense
as Catholicism.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were Jeannie was raised Catholic. Lynn was raised Lutheran.
Yeah,
And
I
both
went to
married?
Catholic school. But I was raised in a really Jewish area in Shaker Heights, Ohio.
Okay.
And I went to Catholic and public. And while I was in public school, I dated a Jewish guy for a few years who ironically looks and is a lot like my husband.
How funny.
I established my type at a really young age. Jewish, goal-oriented. But anyways, he was just a really good guy. So I was always, I think, open to it. Like, I didn't feel like I had to marry a Catholic guy. Like, that, I don't think that ever crossed my mind. Like, I was just like, whatever, you know?
Yeah, you marry who you love.
But when we were dating, we didn't start dating until we were 27. So, like a few months into it, like when you start dating someone at 27, 28, like you're not really casually, like especially if you both want to get married, it's either going somewhere or it's not.
Yeah.
So I was like really excited because I really was like, this is the guy. And he said to me, honestly, like we were dating like 3 or 4 months and he's like, I have to raise my kids Jewish. Like it's not an option to not raise my kids Jewish. And so I kind of was bummed because I kind of like envisioned it like being a little bit more loose and loopy and like we do some Catholic things and we do some Jewish things and whatever. Right. But he was adamant about it. And I remember thinking that night, oh my gosh, we're going to break up. Like, that's so sad. Like, that's immediately went through my head. And I have a really good friend who I went to high school with, Catholic high school, who's one of, 6 kids, Irish Catholic family. And I called her and was really upset. And she was like, just take a step back a second and think about this. Like, why are you shutting the door on it? And she started asking me a bunch of questions. And she was just like, she knew the answers to them. Right. But she was like, are you pro-choice or are you pro-life? And I was like, well, Matt, I'm pro-choice, of course.
Right.
She's like, do you think priests should be allowed to marry? And I was like, well, yeah. With all the stuff going on in the Catholic Church, with all the issues, yes, they should be allowed to marry. And so, do you support gay marriage? Of course I support gay marriage. Like, why are you asking these questions, And then she was like, well, how does his religion feel about this? And they supported all of them.
Yeah,
all of them. There's gay marriage. There's female priests. They're allowed to get married. I mean, female rabbis. They're allowed to get married, and pro-choice and all those things. So she just said, I'm not telling you to raise your kids Jewish. I'm telling you not to shut the door on him at this point because you're a little bit of a hypocrite, saying that you wouldn't raise your kids in his religion when his religion actually supports everything you feel. And
more so than your own.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was like, then yes, I'm open to it. So, and we agreed to it, obviously, but my parents, who were very Catholic and were paying for our wedding, my dad still required us to like have a priest. We had a priest and a rabbi, and we had to go through pre-Cana with the Catholic Church because he was like, if I'm going to pay for the wedding, I want your marriage recognized by the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. And so we did the whole thing, and it was so funny because then we also had to do it with a rabbi.
Right.
Our experience with the rabbi was like a gazillion times better just because the Catholic Church was just so archaic in how they do things. And we had to go away for this weekend retreat. And first of all, we were like 30 and felt really old because it was like, we were like 22, 23-year-olds on this. And I was like, what is going on? But there's tears the whole weekend between all these other couples because they give you this book and make you discuss everything, big issues apparently they had not discussed.
Right.
And so there was tears. There were couples breaking up. It was like hadn't discussed money. They hadn't discussed all these things. And we would literally they separate you. We write down our thing. We come together. We'd be like, yep. Okay, good. Fist bump. Yeah. Let's go for a walk. And we were good. Like it was solid. So I felt like we had done everything and we're ready to go and had a priest and a rabbi and raise our kids Jewish. But we celebrate Christmas.
Right.
I get a tree. It's just the memories of Christmas for me growing up are the happiest memories.
Yeah.
And so he, was like, you've made enough sacrifice and we are happy to celebrate Christmas. So we celebrate Christmas, and we don't really do Hanukkah because it's not a very big Jewish holiday.
No.
So we just, it's ridiculous for them to get gifts for both. So they only get Christmas
right.
gifts. That would be.
Choose one, right?
Yeah. One or the other. I think when they were really little, we did both. And I was like, saw how much I spent that year. And I was like, that's ridiculous. That's not happening again.
Right.
So we just do Christmas, but we do big Passover. We do big high holidays, like all of that. And I'm, was on the board at the temple for years, and they knew I was Catholic and they didn't care. I never converted. And
no, you didn't
they were just happy to have me volunteer and be there. And
I will say though, that's the good thing about our temple.
Yes. It's because Lynn and I are at the same temple.
That's so
Which
crazy.
is 50% interfaith families.
Really? 50%?
Yeah.
50%.
That's
Nobody's
really
marrying in their
high.
religion anymore, no.
Yeah. And it is. And like the Rabbi Jim was always like, I don't know who's like Jewish. I don't know who's not.
He didn't care.
Yeah, he didn't care.
But isn't that the way it's supposed to be?
It should be.
I think it
definitely.
is.
And not all temples are like that. Ours is Reformed,
Yeah.
so it's pretty loose. But at my first Mommy Me class, which Lynn and I did Mommy Me there together, It was my first class, and I'm sure I probably looked like a deer in the headlights. Like, I did have those moments of I made a huge mistake, of like mourning that my kids weren't going to have the same experiences that I had growing up. And so I'm sure that first class, I'm the one pulled into the temple. I was like, what the fuck am I doing?
Right.
Totally freaking out. And I'm sitting in the mommy me circle. Nobody. Sure, I looked scared. And at the end, he came up to me and came from behind and put his hands on my shoulders, which kind of freaked me out. And he was like, are you Jewish? And I said, no. And he just said, thank you. I actually get emotional all the time when I think about it. He just said, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We will never ask anything more of you. You came here. You've made a huge sacrifice. Just thank you.
Wow.
Meaning that they would never try to convince me to convert or anything. And they never have. Right. So, and he asked me one time, what do I consider myself? And I said, I'm a non-practicing Catholic. I'm a practicing Jew because I don't go to church, but if we go anywhere, we go to temple. And so, because there's all these people who have these strong thoughts on conversion, they have to go and mikvah and the whole, and I'm like, I don't have time, to take a shower every day, let alone like convert. And he's like, in my eyes, you're Jewish. Like, in my eyes, I would view you as Jewish because you're a practicing Jew. You come here. So,
right.
It's been a really positive experience, and I actually feel like I gave my kids a gift.
Yeah.
Even though they're both in Catholic school now.
Well, clearly the Catholics do that right, really right. They do Catholic schools.
But the schools in LA, the Catholic schools in LA are 50% Jewish.
Yeah, I know, and they're amazing schools. Yes, so it's hard to kind of,
amazing schools.
They're really
they're
good
affordable,
schools. Yeah.
And I feel like, the golden rule. You do good, and the Catholic schools are teaching the golden rule just as good as the Jewish schools and that's what it all comes down to.
Yeah, I think Catholic schools, at least in LA, are probably a lot more liberal in their approach than Catholic schools in other places in the U.S.
Right.
I don't know a whole lot about Judaism, but what I do know, I think, is far more balanced and loving and accepting than the religion that I grew up in, a Southern Baptist. And I really admire people and have a little bit of like, man, I wish I had that, because I can't, we're not religious. Burt's Catholic. I grew up Southern Baptist. I'm not going to raise my children Southern Baptist. I have no interest because it didn't resonate with me. I don't think it's a bad religion. I think it's a great religion. And almost all my family are practicing Southern Baptist. That's wonderful, but it doesn't really resonate with me. Mm-hmm. So, but that spirituality, that community that happens at temple or in a Southern Baptist church, I don't have because I don't have a place to go.
Right.
And I always think everything I hear, I have a lot of friends who are Jewish or who are married to Jewish men. And everything I hear, I go, wow, that would be really amazing. I wish that we had something like that here. Well,
I've never heard, I don't know that I've ever heard your and Eric's whole story. So
well, we met in law school and
did you care? Like what?
I didn't really care. His family, his mom was not Jewish. She converted. But his grandparents kind of had a really hard time at the beginning. Like
with his mom?
With his mom. They broke up because of it and everything. And so then here I am dating Eric, and I'd come, we were up in Sacramento and we'd come down here, and his grandparents could not have been more accepting of me
than
that's
great.
Like everyone in his family.
Right.
Like, so I didn't see it as a big deal because here it is I knew the history with them having a hard time with Valerie, and then they were so accepting to me, and then they apologized to Valerie profusely, like, we're so sorry, it was so stupid, we're just
because she raised a fine young Jewish man.
She's and
three of them. Yeah, she did.
Well, we're still jury's out.
Okay, two and a half.
Yeah.
One may be under the influence of other items, but whatever. Not substances.
No, items.
People,
good, yes.
items.
And so when we, before, like, we had a hard time because he graduated actually like a semester before me, and his mom was really ill. My grandmother was really ill. It was just, and being in law school is really stressful.
Yeah.
And so we, were like, we broke up once or twice. But then we got engaged, and my dad, the first thing he said was, how are you going to make this work? I said, what do you mean? How are you going to make this work? He's like, the religion. And I never thought it was a big deal. Like, I
Yeah, because his grandparents were so accepting. Parents were so accepting. Parents were interfaith.
Yeah. And
And
so
did you care about raising your kids Lutheran?
I really didn't. But I didn't know what it meant to raise my kids Jewish. And so we talked about it before we were getting married. We met with a cantor who was the family friend, and we talked about it, and they gave me this book. And
Wait, what's a cantor?
The person who's they stand with the rabbi during services. They're the singer.
They're the singer, but they
okay,
also
got
can
it.
perform marriages and things like that.
Got it.
She gave me a book, and she's like, "Oh, read this." And I was like, I read like the first chapter, and I was like, "Fuck this shit."
Yeah.
Why?
It's a lot.
Because it was a very archaic book, and it was more of like, if you're not Jewish, you're never going to be accepted within the Jewish community.
Oh, bad book to give you.
Yeah, right?
It was a terrible book.
No, thanks.
A terrible book. And then the next time we met with her, and I was like, Perrine, why did you give me this book? It is terrible. I threw it. I'm not reading it. And she's like, well, it's just a different perspective and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I'm not reading this shit. Like, I'm done. Nope. And so, his mom was ill, but she helped me a lot. And so we just we talked about it, and we said, okay, we'd raise our children Jewish. And, his dad was accepting, his grandparents were accepting, one of his aunts were not very accepting, but she has some issues to begin with. And then we just, I was like, if we're going to raise our kids Jewish, we're going to start now, like before we had kids. I'm like, we're going to join a temple, and Temple Bethel was what was right there. So we joined way before we had kids.
Good
Did
for you
you
guys.
really?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's really
We
cool.
didn't join until after we had the kids.
Yeah, no, we joined before.
That's really cool.
And I was like, well, if we're going to do it, then
Let's do it.
Did you go to services on Friday night every Friday night?
not every Friday night, but we did go. Yeah. We did go, and we went to all the high holidays, and and I
actually love the high holidays.
I bought Judaism for Dummies because I knew nothing about it, and the thing is no one in his family did either.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's like once you do your bar mitzvah, it's done. Like
You're over. It's over.
It's
huh?
kind of over. It's
Right.
kind of over. So like, I consider myself like one of the most Jewish people in the family. Like, I'm the one, doing all the holidays.
Right.
I'm
How
like,
crazy.
I don't know anything about
They
this.
always say that. So they say it about converts, but Lynn and I, neither of us converted.
Yeah.
But the rabbis at our temple will say this all the time too, that we're the better Jews because we have to learn it.
Right.
And we're learning it more recently. They were raised with it, but no one sat down and had them read a book. No one sat down and was like, you do this, you do that. They just kind of were like, it was done.
Yeah.
So there's stuff. I mean, I was one who would go shopping for Shabbat dinner. We used to do, we're not as good about it anymore. And actually when I do it, Sasha gets so excited. She's like, I wish we did it every Friday. But I'll like go to the Glot and go to the, get by the challah and put the candles out and do the prayers and the whole thing. And I know it better than he does.
Right. Isn't that crazy?
I had to learn it. Yeah. So we're the better Jews.
Kathy Fromkin's the same. She cooks every high holiday meal. She's cooking, and she's grew up Catholic, I think.
Catholic, and she didn't convert. None of us have converted.
She didn't convert either.
We're rebels.
Yeah. So then when you go to temple, you go on Friday nights?
You're supposed to. Yes.
And what happens when you go to temple?
They do a Friday night Shabbat service. It depends
what does
on the
that mean?
service.
Do they
It's like going to church on Sunday.
Well, like sometimes it's different. Sometimes they'll have like musical Shabbat. Like 1 week, so it's all music.
They did like a Disney one.
Yeah.
And it's much. So this
What do you mean, a Disney
Shabbat? It was
Shabbat?
Disney themed. So they use this music and then they just change it, and it's super. They make it like fun for kids. This is what the craziest thing that I could not believe, and I was like cringing and like clenching my teeth and so anxious. Is one of the first times we were going to a Shabbat service. So when you grew up Catholic, we did go to church every single Sunday. Mm-hmm. And if there was a crying baby or a child acting out, you were yanked from that church and pulled to the back. And there was actually a crying room that you would have with a glass thing that they would pipe the service into, because God forbid anyone be at all loud.
No, seriously, that's what they did in my church.
Totally.
Too.
And you would like the second like a child started making a noise around you, you're like, oh, they're going to take the child out, right? Like that was it. So we go to Friday night, and I don't know, again, I only know from our own temple, so I'm not sure if this happens everywhere, but there was like a kid with Thomas trains in the center aisle, like choo choo, and nobody. I was like, is someone going to take him out? Like, what's going on? Why is he being so loud? It's totally more casual, like someone making noise or a child. They would rather that child be in the sanctuary making noise and have that parent take him out. And
Yeah.
she'll like, sometimes our rabbi will even say, like, when there's a crying child, she'll say something like, you know, like about the beautiful sound of a crying child, or she'll come over and like stroke their head or something. Like,
Right.
it's totally like looser and more. People are walking in late all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah. No one's on
leaving
time.
early.
Right.
It's just kind of a much more casual feeling. But yeah, so they'll have like Tot Shabbat, which is for families with little kids, and it's super
Like each
fast.
grade will kind of like get up and, you know, sing a song or do part of a prayer.
So
Okay.
they feel a part of it. Yeah.
So do they speak in Hebrew?
Sometimes.
Sometimes,
Okay.
but that's really only for prayers.
Do you understand Hebrew?
I
I
don't
know the prayers.
I can recite them all.
Yeah.
Wait, but do you know what they say?
No, totally not.
No.
But sometimes you
No one
recite
does.
them like in Hebrew, but then you say them in English, and so then I know like
Yeah.
that's what we were saying.
Oh, I see. But you don't know word for word.
But I
like
don't
that
know word for
Yeah,
word.
yeah.
No, but I can totally I can look at a prayer book and recite a Hebrew prayer and actually read it and know how to pronounce
No
it.
way.
I
Yeah.
can, but not
But
the
it's
Hebrew letters.
years.
It's the transliteration.
Transliteration. Yeah, no, not the letter.
No, not
The
the
what?
Hebrew letters.
The
Transliteration.
what is that?
So
Well,
it's actually
the
written in their
Hebrew-
language.
The Hebrew language is written kind of
Yes,
more
it's like-
symbols
yeah, yeah.
or whatever,
Uh-huh.
but they each have sounds. Apparently, I don't really know.
Yeah.
But so they'll have like the Hebrew on one page, and on the other side they have a transliteration. So it's whatever is written. It's how you would kind of say it in English.
So I can read the transliteration. Now, if you went to a conservative synagogue
then
or
we're
like,
screwed.
they would never have a transliteration. We're super loopy because we're Reform, but the other ones would never have that at all.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of, it feels good. Like, it's just like going to church on Sunday, but they do it Friday nights.
You know what's really interesting? Being from a predominantly is probably an understatement, an only Christian community where I grew up, I didn't know a Jewish person until I moved to New York City. Everyone was either Baptist or Methodist, and my impression or what I was told about Judaism is more extreme than it actually is. So I don't know where all these people got their information. If they were pulling information from like Orthodox Jewish religion, conservative Jewish, but the stuff that I would hear would be like about how they dress and have the big long beards and
Yeah.
the curly things down the side and how ridiculous that is. That's nowhere in the Bible. Nowhere is that stated that that's the way you should dress or how you should act. So the Christians that I grew up with would always talk so terribly about the Jewish religion, terribly, that I was actually afraid of Jewish people by the time I was an adult.
Really?
I was scared of them. My mother used to say Jewish people all had really big noses, and they were out to cheat you. They all were out to take your money and cheat you.
Oh my gosh.
To stay away from them.
That's hilarious.
But then she would say, unless they're your accountant.
yeah.
Then you want a Jewish accountant.
All right, so do you want to know
so prejudicial,
the
right?
area I grew up in Ohio, outside of Cleveland, was super Jewish. So if I slept over at a friend's house on Saturday night, a lot of times I had to go to Hebrew school with them on Sunday, and I would go.
Right.
You know?
Oh, really?
How funny.
Yes. And so the funny thing is, and it's not funny now, like that I look back on it, but I was like, this happened. So I'm at this person's temple in Beechwood, which is like another really Jewish area. And these kids were throwing change at me, and like, cause I was visiting with my friend, and they were throwing change at me. And I was like, why are they doing that? And then I didn't like flinch or anything. And they're like, oh, she's not Jewish. She didn't pick it up.
Oh my God.
That's awful.
And these were Jewish kids throwing change at me.
So, oh my God, how
Seeing
crazy.
if I was Jewish. And I was like, why are they doing that? My friend Elise was like, stop it. It's like annoyed. But it's like that. I went home and told my dad, and my dad's like, that's really messed up.
That is really messed up. That is really messed up.
And one little also thing about my parents, though, my dad, it was really hard to tell my parents we were raising our kids Jewish, really hard, because they knew I was marrying a Jewish guy and that we were going to have a rabbi. I never told them I was raising my kids Jewish. Even though I knew I was, I put that off because,
Sometimes it's easier.
Each hurdle as we get to it.
Yes.
So I was literally, I think I went into labor with Elijah like 3 days later, but I sent them an email because, that was easier than talking to them about it. So I sent them an email explaining the whole thing. We're raising our kids Jewish. And my mom responded to it. And I'm not convinced she ever told my dad. I'm not, obviously he knew, but like was never really acknowledged, which was sometimes easier. But she just said, while we're, sad that you're not going to raise your kids in the same religion you were raised in, we're happy that you've chosen to do something.
Right.
So that was her response.
My dad said too.
But my mom has brought it up for she paid for half of my son's bar mitzvah. She paid for the caterer at his bar mitzvah, which was substantial because she was like, I'm Italian. I feel like I should pay for the food, and I was like, great, awesome. And flew in for it and was coming, we'll be here for Sasha's, is also offered to pay for it. But she also brings it up all the time. Like, you at least were all in. My sister and brother baptized their kids and then did nothing.
Yeah. Right.
So they don't go to church, not even at Christmas, zero. And so she's like, at least your kids are religious. Right. They do something, like, you followed through. Right. So she gives us credit on sticking with it and following through and having religion in their lives.
Well, you deserve credit. That's one place I think that I have not been the best mom, because we are not religious. And I have issues with religion. I think the only religion I've seen so far that I don't have issues with is Judaism. Because, like I said, growing up, I heard that it was all evil, but I kept going, but I don't really relate to what I'm in. I don't really agree with what you're teaching me. Like, I understand what you're saying, and I understand that everybody in this room thinks that's cool, but I don't think that's cool. So now where do I go?
Yeah. Right.
And then I can't go to Catholicism because I totally disagree with the mishandling of priests and young children. I cannot invest myself in that religion because of that.
It's really hard because they're not doing anything really to fix it.
Exactly. So then I go, well, that is so out of integrity. How can I say, yep, signing up for that one?
Yeah.
So then I don't know enough about any of the other Christian sects to make a decision. And what I've found living in LA, which has a lot of Jewish families and people, is that they're the most accepting, they're the most kind-hearted, they're the most generous people that I've ever been around, ever, as a group. Now Southern Baptists are also generous and very great and very community oriented. If some tragedy happens in a family, the church just takes care of them. I mean, they're really amazing in that way. Yeah. But their point of view is very kind of condemning for things that don't line up with their beliefs. And I guess maybe that's true also for more conservative Jewish people or Orthodox Jewish people. I know when I was managing an apartment building, I was in a neighborhood that was close to a temple that was very conservative. So I had 3 or 4 residents that were Orthodox families. And, I had to have like one person put in 2 dishwashers.
Oh, yeah.
And they had like every sink had to have 2 bowls. So they had one bowl, I guess, for fish or meat, and one for
kosher kitchen.
Yeah, kosher kitchen.
Kosher kitchen, and they couldn't use the locks on the weekend. So
oh my gosh,
they had to have, they couldn't use the elevator, no mechanical on the weekend. So I had to make special accommodations for them as to getting in and out of a building.
Yeah.
And they were always generous, kind, considerate, friendly, asked me about my family, how are you? And people were like, I can't believe they're so nice to you. And I'm like, well, I am their landlord. But someone told me apparently in their type of faith, a woman can only have a few jobs, and one of them is a landlord. So that they can accept a woman who's doing that job as opposed to a woman who's like a mail carrier or whatever.
I never knew that. Wow, that's
I didn't know that either,
Yeah.
but I was like, well, that makes total sense, because every single Orthodox family I had over the 10 years I managed were amazing people. They were so wonderful that I just never had the experience that I'd always heard about of this religion. It just they didn't match. My experience with what I was told did not match. So I always think if I had to choose a religion, I think I might choose that religion.
Yeah.
Because of what I've experienced since I've been out here.
So now the interesting thing is, so if Georgia goes to Catholic school, which it looks like she will for high school.
Yeah.
One of the things I kept bringing up when I was touring the schools, because I honestly felt like I had nothing to lose and I wasn't going to go in lying or pretending we were something that we're not.
Sure.
So I would always say, like, my son's Jewish, are there other Jewish kids here? Which of course they were like, oh, the tour guide would be like, I'm Jewish,
Right.
Totally fine.
Yep.
But I also said, in our family, my son is still young and forming his own opinions, but in my family, we support gay marriage and we are pro-choice, and that's what we discuss at home over family dinners, those type of things. And so I said, is he going to be, forced to listen to, to believe that that's not right? And all of the schools, what I was told, and so I think it must be this area. This area is just a very liberal area where we are.
Yeah.
But I think it's the right thing, and I think all across the country, like if there's something's being shoved down their throat that they don't believe in, that I was told was they were fine with you having a differing opinion, but don't just have it and say I'm pro-choice. Back it up.
Right.
Why are you pro-choice?
Right.
Why do you support gay marriage? Do you know people? What's your reasoning? Why do you support these versus the other side, which is what the Catholic Church is, the other side. Right. So I asked one of the religion teachers, and she said, I'm absolutely fine with them expressing their opinion if it differs from the Catholic Church. What I want them to be able to do is clearly and intelligently argue their side.
Right.
And then I have no problem with it.
Right.
So I was like, all right, well, that's good because
right.
I'm not down with that being shoved down his throat.
Sure. No.
And there is another school in this area where my son, a friend of my son's was, I won't say the name, but it has
Will
Christian.
You say it later?
It has Christian in it.
I know.
Where they don't accept.
Right.
And I've heard this from several people that, being gay is a sin, a mortal sin, they will say. It's a mortal sin and you will go to hell.
Yeah, same Southern Baptist saying.
And during health class, when premarital sex came up, one of the kids said something about, something with the premarital sex, and the guy literally stopped the class and was like, no. It is a mortal sin. You will go to hell. You cannot tell
in this area,
13 and 14-year-old kids that because... It's bullshit.
Well, what happens, from my experience being Southern Baptist, I was told that as well. Mortal sin to drink, mortal sin to have sex before you're married. And I knew for a fact that people that were heads of the church were doing those bad things.
Of course.
Yeah. And then you go, well, I'm a teenager. I'm having premarital sex. I'm going to hell.
Yeah.
Like, it makes you feel so bad about
scared.
yourself.
It's fear-based.
It's so scared. It is.
Yeah.
Every single sermon, my preacher would say, that you were born of sin, therefore you shall repent until the rest of the days of your life. So then it made me feel like, well, I'm never going to get ahead.
No.
Every day I wake up, I'm a sinner. So
well,
what can I do?
Just being these
Might as well have fun.
So it also,
might as well have fun, right?
Yeah. Well, and so exactly. I think that too, the kids who are being sent to that school, parents obviously feel that way because
totally.
If you can get behind that type of education, then you must feel that too.
Right.
Not all of them, but
right.
most.
Right.
And my friend's son was there. And she didn't really know that. I had kind of tried to tell her beforehand, this is evangelical. This is not a Catholic school.
Right.
And she was just like, but they have really small class size and it's really pretty. Did you see it? The older brother who was not there, this was the younger brother who was there, was in the process of coming out, which was incredibly painful for him because he's a lot of fear, never going to be the same again. No one's ever going to look at him again the same, but needed to. This is who he was.
Right.
And so the whole family was going through it, and his younger brother was a student there at the time, where his friends are saying, and not because he wasn't talking about his older brother, but calling people a fag, sinners, going to hell, saying all those things. And he went home and said, I can't go to school there anymore because they think, and he said his older brother's name is a sinner and going to hell.
Right.
And they pulled him immediately.
Right.
But she was like, a teacher said that? And she's like, no, he said, no, all the kids are saying that. And she was like, yeah, we're done.
Yeah, no,
Then
that's
pulled
not
him.
okay.
But it's like crazy and hard to believe in today's world. And when I hear people looking at that school, I try to really delicately say, listen, I didn't send my children there and I have never been there, but you may want to talk to so-and-so who did go there and had a different experience.
Right. But the hard part is that we live in a very liberal part of the country. But my entire family are Southern Baptists, and we don't share beliefs. But you have to hold two things at one time. I'm not going to denounce my whole family because they don't support gay marriage. They don't believe that. They believe that being gay is a choice, and maybe not all of them, but a lot of them believe that's a choice and that's a sin, and that should not be happening. You can just fix that. Right. And I absolutely don't believe that. But you have to find a way to still love those people. They're your family. So I wonder because we can't do that, our whole nation has become that. You're either people who are pro-choice or pro-life. And if you're not pro-life, you're the enemy.
Yep.
Yeah. And if you're not pro-choice, you're the enemy. But I don't believe that's actually true. I think that this country started so that people had choices and so that they had a voice.
Right.
And unfortunately, both sides of religion and of politics have just decided it's my voice or the highway. And I don't know how, as a person, you reconcile having both. You know, to say I don't believe any of your religious beliefs, and I still respect them, and I still love you, and I still want to spend time with you, and how it comes back in reverse. I don't talk religion with my family. They don't talk it with me. We just don't talk about it. I had one cousin who one time picked me up from the airport and for an hour and a half let me know how I was going to hell and everybody's going to hell. And we got in this huge debate because he's Southern Baptist, and anybody who's not Southern Baptist, not Christian, anybody who's not in his religion is definitely going to hell. And I was like, so you're telling me people born in Africa who have never heard of Southern Baptist as a religion are going to hell? And his answer was yes.
Wow.
And at that moment I went, this is a non-argument.
Yeah.
I can't, this is not even a discussion. You have your belief and I have to respect that, and we have to say, line drawn, done, we're not discussing this. So as long as you don't try to change me, I won't try to change you. You have your shit and let me have mine. Now our relationship's never been the same.
Yeah. But
I have a relationship with him. I can have a conversation with him about our kids and, about traveling, but it's a hard thing, especially when you come from an extreme background. And there's so many people who come from Orthodox Judaism and then become Reformed.
Yeah.
And that's the same religion.
Yeah.
But there is a big difference.
Well, the Orthodox and Hasidics, I don't think they really like us.
No, of course they don't.
Yeah, because when I go to our local Jewish market is the Cambridge Farms on Burbank, and if I go in there and go shopping, especially on Friday morning for Shabbat,
that's crazy.
They're all the women all wear the wigs, and I don't know the rule, but I'm sure have lovely hair, but have to shave their heads and wear those wigs.
Right.
I don't know why. Apparently, they also have sex through a sheet with a hole in it. But
that's what I heard too.
No one's smiling. I smile at everybody.
Right.
Nobody's smiling back at me. They're like, why is she in here?
Yeah, right. She does not belong.
I actually kind of look Jewish. People always think I'm the Jew,
Right.
Because I have dark hair and olive skin. And so people are just assume at Temple that I'm Jewish. And,
right.
And I'm not. But it's just funny because even there, me kind of looking Jewish and shopping in the Jewish market, they're kind of why
are you here?
They're not so friendly.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say that is kind of true. We lived in a little north of here, which is an Orthodox Jewish neighborhood, and our neighbors did not talk to us. We had us and the family across the street. They're Jewish, but they're not Orthodox. But then right next door to us, I will say, we had the Orthodox Jewish rabbi next to us, and he had 7 kids.
Of course.
I know. And a house that was much smaller than ours, but nice. They invited us over for their baby naming. On the weekend,
really nice.
On their weekends, they can't adjust their thermostats or anything. So one time they had their whole family from New York in, and they were like, could you come over and adjust? And I was like, yeah, sure. No problem. I was like, do you want me to adjust it higher or lower? He's like, I cannot tell you.
Oh
yeah.
And I was like,
you got to base it on how hot it is outside.
And I was like, okay, because it's against the rules for them to tell
someone to do it. Yeah.
And so I was like, okay. And I was like, and then he finally broke down. He was like, well, the kids were really cold last night. And I was like, okay, let me just turn this off so you have no air conditioning overnight. And then in the morning, I'll come over and turn it back on so that you'll have it,
during the day.
During the day. But they were the only people on our block that talked to us.
Right.
And
that's
but he
nice.
was a rabbi, so maybe as the rabbi, he understood there are different levels, and not one level's not more important or better than the others, where if you're in that religion and you're taught that day in, day out, you can't see the other side.
Yeah, I think that is really true. I think that a lot of people from my hometown don't see anything other than what they know, because not even Catholicism. They're a Baptist or Methodist, and that is it. No, I don't know about any Lutherans. I don't know about any other religion besides those two. And they're so similar to each other that it's easy to accept everybody religiously.
Right.
But anything outside of that, they have no construct. They have no no way of understanding. It was so fascinating to me, having, I was brought up in Southern Baptist religion with my dad, but my mom was Maharishi Maheshi Yogi. So I spent a lot of time at the center meditating with all these people from India and Birkenstocks and like sheets and turbans. From the time I was 7 or 8, I had that perspective too. But I thought to myself, the people who only went to Sardis Baptist Church for the 50, 60 years of their life, how could they possibly know anything else? They couldn't. But for me to go to Maharishi Maheshi Yogi and listen to all these,
the spiritual
ideas and spirituality coming from self, as opposed to following rules that were laid out in a book that complies with God, not sinning, no drinking, no sex. There's a very different perspective that transcendental meditation is about, kind of yourself.
Oh, I just feel like all those types of religions it's all just fear-based. It's just like they're
very fear-based,
trying to scare the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Keep them in there so that they feel like they have redemption. I think it's sad.
It's controlling, in my opinion. It's a way of controlling the masses and not empowering them. When religion should be empowering, inspiring.
Yeah.
I think it should inspire you to be a better person.
Totally.
And I was more inspired to be a better person at the center than I was at the Baptist church.
And I do think, though, because you were saying that you feel like you haven't done your side of religion wise, I think that you are raising two very open girls who someday will, find someone who maybe cares about religion and maybe doesn't. But if they did care about that religion, they'd be open to it,
Probably.
And also, you definitely live by the golden rule. You just do good. And I feel like if you are doing that at home,
yeah, it's true.
Everyone's following the golden rule and you're volunteering or, finding ways to do good, which your girls are doing all the time.
Yeah.
Then you're doing fine.
You're on the right track. Yeah. It's just the lack of community. That's the part where you guys go to temple. Yeah. You have these people that you're connected to at temple. We don't have that. Like we do in Girl Scouts, or we do. Yeah. Georgia will get it in high school.
She's going to get it in high school. Yeah.
If she gets in that high school.
She's going to get in.
Please, please, please.
She's going to get in.
I hope so.
But it doesn't matter because even if you don't have religion, like for same for you or whatever, but you still have like all these families and you have your own community.
That's true. And I do have faith. I believe in God, and I believe things happen for a reason. Yeah. And I believe if you pray, the universe listens, and your intentions informs the universe as to what you receive, and sometimes your subconscious thoughts informs the universe what you should receive.
But don't you feel like that you have a closer relationship to God or to something than, like, I felt like I went to church and I went to church every week because that's what you do. And I didn't have anything. Like, it's just something I did. I did it because I did it, not because it meant anything to me. So that's why when I met Eric, it didn't mean that much to me. So if it meant something to him and his family, I was easier to go with it. And now it's like it doesn't matter to me if it's Jewish or anything else. It's like I just have my own relationship. It's personal. It's not. I don't need a religion to tell me what I need to do in order to do it.
I feel exactly the same way. Yeah. Although I feel like I have created like a set of, maybe not rules, but definitely parameters, but they're more about my integrity and my intentions. And is that in alignment with, what would Jesus do? Jesus was a good man. He did good things. So if you go, what would Jesus do? Not in a religious capacity, but you could do the same as, what would Martin Luther King Jr. do? Yeah. What would Gandhi do? Yeah. What would some of these people who had really good morals, although, they were human. Yeah. So was Jesus. He was not perfect, and neither are we. So if you look at that paradigm, you go, okay, well, I'm going to make mistakes. I have to forgive myself for those mistakes. If my intention was good and I still make the mistake, then I've done all I can do. Right. So I don't know.
I also was never a Jesus person. I was a God person.
Oh, amen.
Yeah. I mean, even though it's just so funny growing up because someone said something like, well, the Jews don't believe that Jesus was the Son of God. And I was like, that never mattered to me. No. I believe in God. I believe in an afterlife. I believe in like a higher power.
Me too.
And so the whole Jesus thing, and there was not growing up even going to church every Sunday and staring at the giant cross. My connection was never to Jesus. I didn't pray to Jesus. I didn't do things for Jesus. I did things because of God. Like I prayed to God, not.
Yeah, I always thought like Jesus was a middleman. And why would you go to the middleman? You just go to the man, right? The man. Give me the man. I don't need the middleman. I need the man. And the same with Mary. I was like, what did she do?
She's
I know
lovely.
that she gave birth to God's son, but again, a middleman.
Yeah.
Why would I pray to her or to any of the saints? Pray to Saint Michael. Why? Does he write it down and then give it to God?
Right.
Just give it to God, right? I never understood that either. About Southern Baptist is very Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Not so much Mary because,
But I did have, just now that my daughter's in Catholic school, I did have a nice little warm memory. And my husband actually said, "Oh, you're loving this, aren't you?" Is that she had to choose a saint. She was choosing who her patron saint would be and to do a project on her saint. And my patron saint is Joan of Arc because my name is spelled the same, Jeanne, as Joan of Arc. She's Jeanne in French.
Oh.
And I loved that she was my patron saint. And then, like, through my first confirmation and when I went to Paris, I was all about Joan of Arc and, every statue that we could find of her. So Sasha was like, I don't know what saint. I was like, oh, I know what you should choose.
I got it.
You should choose Joan of Arc. And I was so excited because she read about her and she's like, oh, I like that one. That's a good one. She's really fierce. And I was like, oh, she is fierce.
She's fierce.
Wait till you read
you and
more.
me, baby, fierce.
But she did choose her, and now that's her patron saint. And I was so excited. And even my husband was like, oh, you're just eating this up, aren't you? You're loving it. I'm
but
like,
Burt did the same
I
thing.
am.
Burt's patron saint is Saint Jude.
Uh-huh.
So, and he's the patron saint of hopeless cases.
Yeah.
I think. So, Burt's grandmother gave him a Saint Jude medal a long time ago because he's clearly a hopeless case. So, he's in here. Talk about projection. He projects so much onto our kids sometimes that I want to just pop him on the back of the head. So he's sitting there with Georgia and he goes, Georgia, I'm going to tell you something. I'm getting you a St. Jude medal. You know what St. Jude is? It's the saint of hopeless cases. And Georgia looked like, what are you talking about? Yeah. I am not a hopeless case. I was like, of all of our children, you choose her for the hopeless case? Isla Crusher can't even fucking read in the 5th grade. I would say she's far more hopeless. And he was like, no, she's got to have like the patron saint of animals. That's the only one she'll pay attention to.
St. Francis.
Yeah, St. Francis. Exactly. And he was like, no, George and I, hopeless case. I was like, you are so out to lunch. Georgia is far from hopeless.
Oh my
She's
God.
going to have her own saint, and it's not that one. So I love you, St. Jude, but not a match.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. We didn't have that
Funny.
in Baptist religion.
No, I don't know anything about the saints.
It was just Jesus.
Yeah.
It was just Jesus. Yeah. Noah's Ark is high up there too, which I
yes.
never understood. I remember sitting in church going, wait a minute. You're telling me there were 2 of every animal on a boat for 40 fucking days and nobody ate anybody? That's not possible. I had that debate with another cousin and she was like, but God made them not eat each other. And I went, check, please. I do not buy that.
No.
I believe
just
that
that
God,
one time, those 40 days, those
Right?
animals
That's
didn't
it.
eat.
It was people take it so literally.
They do. It was not supposed to be literal.
It was just a story.
It was a story. It was a story about God's.
It's a lovely
Power.
story.
Yeah.
You're wrong. There's an ark somewhere. It's
There
buried.
is.
People
They're
are
still
looking
looking for it.
One of my favorite cards I saw at Paper Source ever, and I bought it, and I have 3 of them, and I'm waiting to give them out to people. Was Dear Noah, you said the ark was leaving at noon. The unicorns.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Is that the best card ever?
That is the best card ever. I made it to get that for my cousin who has a massive Noah's Ark collection.
Yeah.
Like one whole wall of
That's
her house is
awesome.
all, she's got like a quilt and the figurines
Oh
and
my God, it's
shit
the
made
best.
out of cork
Next
and
time I go to
everything.
Paper Source, I'll get you some.
Oh my
But
God, that's hysterical.
Also, the Jews are with the Catholics, or up until the New Testament.
until the New Testament,
So
yeah.
they got Noah too.
Yeah.
So we sang like, so God said to Noah, like all those
Right,
songs of mommy.
Okay, bye, babe. He's got a lunch.
So
lunch
yeah.
meeting.
So we got the Noah's Ark too.
Yeah, everything Old Testament.
All the way up to the
same.
Yeah,
they just don't believe in I don't know.
They believe Jesus was a good guy.
Yes, I feel that way too. See, I am Jewish. I think he was a really good guy.
Let's bring her to temple.
He was an amazing guy, and he did amazing things.
Sasha and Darren go make sandwiches. Have you ever done that with Path? They do it on Sunday mornings, not every Sunday, but they go make sandwiches for the lunches for the homeless. And so you could come to temple.
Wait, when is that?
It's actually the Sunday because I had to go. They can only use sunflower seed butter because God forbid a homeless person have a peanut allergy and you kill them accidentally. So I had to go buy a boatload of sunflower seed butter and jelly. So they're doing it this Sunday, and they just make a ton of lunches for the homeless.
What time?
9 a.m.
9 a.m. Sunday. I think we can do that.
And
I would love to do that.
Go. And it's like a bunch of who they are, a bunch of really nice families.
Oh, you think they would mind if a bunch
at all.
of non-denominational, non-Christian, non-practicing people show up?
The food pantry is the Interfaith food pantry.
Yeah.
The food pantry.
So towards that.
Is it in the basement down there?
Well, they do it. They don't put you in the basement. They let you do it outside.
There's no space in the basement.
The basement's pretty tight. I've been in there a couple times.
But yeah, so they put me on a committee one time to hire the cantor, and I was on that committee forever, and we ended up choosing one, and the rabbi was congratulating us, and I was like, oh yeah, you're the Catholic girl just chose the cantor, and he was like, oh, you're the non-Jew, meaning between Darren and I think he thought, and I was like, yeah, that's me. That would but I know if someone can sing or not.
There you go. Those Catholics have good singers.
Yes. Well, you should hear the cantors. Oh my goodness, it's like going to a show.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Crazy.
I like it. Yeah.
All right. Well, until next time.
Yay.
We didn't even talk about what I'd planned on talking about. Shit.
Well, we have our
#me too.
Next episode.
So next time we'll talk about that.
Don't talk about it between now and then.
No, don't talk about it. Because we said last time we'd talk about it.
We have lots to say about it too.
God, I have a lot to say about it.
Yeah.
Lynn, do you have a lot to say about it? #me too.
And I listened to your and Burt's.
You did?
Podcast about it. So yes, the whole time I was like, oh yeah.
I have so much more that has come in since then. So shit,
well,
I can't
just
believe
in
I
the
forgot
next
about
week, more could come in. You never
know, right? You never know. Well, thank you again, ladies, for being on The Wife of the Party.
Woohoo!
Thank you.
And next time.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.